Hey, Latonya.
Hello.
How's it going?
All right. Can't complain.
Sorry for the delay. We told everyone we start this next session at 3:02, about 3 minutes.
Okay.
Lovely.
Thank you. And so we have Billy and Xavier.
Yeah, I'm going to bring them in just a second.
And I
So one thing I've learned is crazy by us both having this remote thing. So the waiting room is set up, and so sometimes if I like go to let someone in, it'll it seems like it will move the slide forward, and so if that happens, it's just a random snafu. And I'll try to go back to the other slide, or if you see it happen, just know that you need to go back to the other slide.
Okay.
Oh, goodness. So let's see. You should now have remote control access. So Stephen will let you click the slides on the bottom.
So, okay, so that's my presentation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Will it let you click through?
Let me see. Yep.
Okay.
What? It looks like it. Yeah, that's me. Okay. Okay.
I'm going to. All right, so I'm going to let everyone in.
Hello, Latonya. Jeremy.
Is this Billy?
It's Billy, yes.
Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you? I don't know why
Okay.
my video is not... There we go. Here I am.
Oh, there you go.
I'm not very Zoom proficient.
Oh, come on. In this day and age now?
I'm going to be honest with you. I actually had to download Zoom today for the first time.
Get out of here.
I never use it. I mean, we're all here, so it's,
okay.
We kind of kept contained. Anyway, hello.
All right. All righty. Hi, Xavier. We are on mute.
How are you?
There you go. All right. All right.
Oh, goodness. Hello, everyone. So, as you all can tell, my slide today is being a little bit crazy, but thank you all for still being here and hanging on through as we navigate through it.
Sure.
And as a very quick reminder, everyone, be sure to post those messages on Facebook. Tag us as the LGBT Chamber of Commerce of Illinois. And don't forget to order lunch from participating restaurants, Drew's on Halstead, Carnival, and America's Talking Burger. As a reminder, if you email us your receipt, you will get reimbursed up to $10 for your orders. So that's all I have. So with that, Matt, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Jeremy. Hello, everybody. Welcome today. I am Matt Phillips. I'm the board president for the LGBT Chamber of Commerce of Illinois. I want to give a big shout out to our sponsors for today, Federal Home Loan Bank of Chicago, CNA, Bank of America, and Baker McKenzie, as well as our awesome speakers so far today from our keynote panel session, Jamie Neely, Shannon Andrews, Jonathan Lovitz, and Pedro Panetta, and then Cynthia Johnson, who just closed out our last session. The LGBT Chamber of Commerce of Illinois is a member-based organization committed to parity for the LGBTQ+ business community. Membership is affordable. We offer meaningful programming and advocacy, and quite frankly, we're a lot of fun to be around. So definitely consider joining our ranks. After today's summit, I encourage you all to look through our member business directory and reach out to one of our LGBT or allied owned businesses. Make that connection, introduce yourself, and see why they're part of our chamber and how you can connect with them. Join the chamber. Help us strengthen the LGBT business community by sharing your voice. And you can also get certified. If your business is 51% or more LGBT owned and operated, you can get nationally certified through our chamber, and your certification fee is waived with your chamber membership. This is how we get to be counted. This is how we show our municipal and state leaders that it is time for our place at the table. So join us, share your voice. And with that, I'm very excited to dive into our next session, which it was a fan favorite that we brought back and redesigned from the spring roundtable. In the business toolkit review, Latonya Fourte-Lyles will lead participants through a case study to review the case statement, presentation deck, and website of a startup business, Hudson Consulting, and an established business, Eye Candy Marketing. Not only is she a dynamic board member and leader on our supplier diversity committee, Latonya Fourte-Lyles is a strong proponent of the inclusion and promotion of diversity within the supply chain process. As the Senior Manager of Corporate Supplier Diversity at Healthcare Service Corporation, HCSC, Latonya champions this effort by maximizing procurement opportunities for minority-owned, women-owned, LGBT-owned, and other diverse-owned businesses. The mission of this program entails proactively seeking qualified and competitive suppliers to partner in creating cost-effective and efficient business solutions for HCSC. Latonya, thank you so much for your continued leadership with our chamber, being a champion of supplier diversity, and just an all-around fun person. We adore you. And I look forward to turning this over to you now.
Thank you so much, Matt. I really appreciate it. And I'm excited to be back for yet another wonderful, wonderful event with the Illinois LGBT Chamber of Commerce. So with that said, let's get started because we don't want you to wait for these two wonderful guests that we're having as part of this presentation. So I'm gonna make sure my little screen here is working. All righty. Alrighty, so as Matt stated that we are here today to talk about the ultimate toolkit review. I always have to start off with giving you our little commercial about Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois. So I'm trying to get my little screen to do what it's supposed to do. Alrighty, now back. All right, so here's my little commercial. We're a healthcare service corporation and we are, okay, my screen keeps changing and I didn't do that. What's happening? I'm not touching it.
And I think it's because it's like letting people in to the room, and so the buttons are just enjoying themselves. I'll just move this along for you.
Okay, go back. Cool. One more. Cool. So this is our commercial. We're a healthcare service corporation, and we're a mutual legal reserve company and independent licensee of Blue Cross Blue Shield Association. So HCSC is the largest customer-owned health benefits company. We've approximately 24,000 employees, serving over 16 million members, and we offer an array of health and life benefits under the Blue Cross Blue Shield plans, Illinois, Texas, Oklahoma, New Mexico, Montana, and some of you may have heard of our Dearborn National. So with that said, that's enough about that, but I definitely wanted to get that out there. Next slide. So we want to get started now, and if you move on to the next slide, so we can see what we're here to do today. There are certain tools that's needed for your business today. And those tools are imperative to how your business is structured and how you move forward in engaging companies to do business with them. Some of the tools of the trade that you need to have as part of your business is a capability statement, a pitch deck, or capability presentation. You may hear it as both, and having your website. That website piece is very important. A lot of folks thinking when they're starting out that they don't need to have a website, but we'll find out and we'll talk a little bit more about it. But having a website is extremely important because, believe it or not, we procurement practitioners and professionals, we go and we look at your website. So having a website is very important as part of the process. So next slide. So we talked about who's playing the game today, and the reason I call it a game because we want this to be fun and interactive and engaging. And so we have two great LGBT certified businesses here today to be a part of this process. So I'm going to start out with Billy Stevenson, and if you can go ahead and introduce yourself and your company.
Hello, thank you, Latonya, and everybody else for being here and participating. I'm happy to be here. My name, as you mentioned, is Billy Stevenson. I am one of the principals of iCandy Marketing. iCandy is a 9-year-old LGBT certified marketing and branding firm. What we specialize in is bringing your brands actually into the physical via apparel, dimensional merchandise, and online marketing too, something that we've added to our repertoire. So we are located here in Chicago. We've been a member of the Chamber for a number of years. I myself am an alumnus of the board, and it's just something that we have always found very important to and helpful in our growth as a company. So that's who I am.
Thank you so much, Billy. So you guys can tell that he is a novice at doing this. He has been doing this for quite some time because it just rolled right off his tongue. So we're gonna bring in E.H. Hudson and Xavier Billingsley and have her introduce herself and our company.
Hey, Latonya, thank you. As Latonya said, my name is Xavier Billingsley. I am the CEO and founder of E.H. Hudson Consulting. We specialize in staffing project managers, and I want to be clear, project managers only within the insurance and healthcare industries. We also staff our project managers nationally as well. So I'm new to business. We've been in existence for 2 years now. I started the first 18 months just doing project management coaching and training. And then here since April, I added another division to my business, which is staffing. So that's pretty new. So that's why I am a startup, and it's been great joining the LGBTQ Chamber of Commerce. I've gotten a lot out of it so far, and I'm looking forward to getting a lot more. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Xavier. So a big reason why I wanted to definitely have them introduce themselves, because this is a big part of engaging when you're looking to really connect with corporations and to do business with them. You need to be able to flow that information off your tongue. And it does not matter whether you're an established business such as iCandy Marketing with Billy, or you are a startup with, just like E.H. Hudson with Xavier. You have to be able to do these types of things. Have your elevator pitch, have your information about your capability statement, your website. All of that is a package, and you need to make sure that you are able to effectively communicate who you are at any time at a drop of a dime. So next slide. Although they introduced themselves, I wanted to talk a little bit more about these companies and who they are and the importance of the information that we've captured here. The reason that this is important, because I talked to you about earlier about those professionals in the procurement space. When we are looking to engage companies like iCandy Marketing and E.H. Hudson, it is not just from the perspective of starting the conversation, the elevator pitch, and looking at your information. Before we even get there, we go and do research like this. We want to know information about who you are. We want to know if you're certified. At least my team does, from the perspective of supplier diversity. So what industries are you in? What industry is your company about? What's your experience? How many years have you been in business? The number of employees, certifications. Now, you may look at this and say, well, You know, eye candy may be in a good space, but EH Hudson may not be because they're only 2 years, only one employee. Understand this. Do not look at your time in business and your number of employees as a hindrance. Look at it from the perspective, depending on what the needs of our business is, we may be looking for an individual who may have less experience in a space, who may be a startup, because we may be looking to work with an individual whom we're looking to build and grow their companies. We also may have smaller projects where we think that it would be more cost effective and prudent to use a smaller size company. So please don't let this part be a hindrance. And know that we are doing this piece, researching this type of information before we even get to asking you about your capability statement and your presentation and looking at your website. And again, I listed the website there. It's very important. If you do not have a website, I'm telling you, if you're looking to do business with and engage large corporations, you definitely need to look at investing in having a website. Even if it is a simple and basic website, you definitely want to make sure that you're doing that. So let's move on forward. We want to start with the capability statement and definition. For those of you who are not familiar with this terminology and not familiar as to what it is, basically it is an outline or summary. It can be 1 to 3 pages. I would not I would say that you should not go beyond 3 pages. 1 to 3 pages is enough, is sufficient. You should also be able to, if someone asked for a 1-pager, have the ability to condense that down to 1 page very simply and easily, because professionals like me, supplier diversity practitioners like me may ask for just a 1-pager. I need a simple 1-pager. I need to get this to this stakeholder or that stakeholder, and I just need 1 page to be able to sell who you are and what you do. And so basically that statement is exactly that. It's an overview of your competencies, your aptitudes, and your proficiencies, all on 1 page, providing a summary of your business and your value proposition. Next slide. Okay, so let's start out with eye candy. We're looking at their 1-page capability statement. So these 7 things that I have listed here are some of the things that can be included in a capability statement. They are not required. You can make your capability statement reflect what you feel is necessary for the customers that you're trying to get in front of. This is just taking a look at just basic items that generally I am looking for as a supplier diversity practitioner to determine, you know, I want to look at what your NACES codes are, because I want to have the ability to say, okay, yeah, this is fitting exactly the opportunity that I'm looking for. Because when I am searching, strategically sourcing for suppliers, many instances, myself and the team, we are actually looking at NACES codes to find those suppliers, because we have a set of criteria that we're looking for. So some of the things that are typically included are the company name and logo, the contact name and info, the company overview and business methodology, NACES, service company provides, certifications if you can, and customers. And the reason that the certifications are important, and again, this is all based on the audience. A procurement practitioner may not care about if you have like certifications, diversity certifications. For me and the role that my team serves, we definitely want to know that you have certifications. We want to be able to go in, look that up, and validate, yes, we are advocating for diverse suppliers. So just looking at the eye candy capability statement, some of the things that we definitely see here that are included, they clearly have their logo, and their company overview and business methodology, as well as some of their key advantages. And I thought that was definitely a great ad, Billy, to differentiate yourself from others in the market. That's always something that you want to do anytime that you can. Do you have any insights as to the thought process behind eye candy and how you wanted to navigate and what you wanted to include in your approach for your capability statement?
Absolutely, and thank you for that. You know, we traditionally, with this a capability statement here, which is one page, it's kind of your visual elevator pitch in our experience. We have a deck that is probably 15 pages long that has all of this information in it. So it's kind of, it's a little more corporate design, because as we found when we've tried to, when it entered corporate markets, they want to see a very robust statement. You know, you lay it out, show us what you can do and give us backup for that and sell us on your product. This one pager is a good kind of in the door way of, you know, it's sometimes you're going to get the opportunity to say hello, tell someone who you are, what company you're from, and they're going to say, awesome, give me a copy of your one sheet or your capability statement, and that's going to be the extent of the conversation you can have with them. So this is something people can kind of keep in front of them, take a look at, and get a feel more for who you are and what you do. I have found, and you correct me if I'm wrong on this, Latonya, but like usually things like the NAICS codes, we will put them in our deck, but primarily when in the corporate market, people will come to you by searching their registered list of vendors by NAICS codes. So a lot of times those, if somebody's not looking for that, they won't, but that's usually how we have found how corporations will initially start the conversation, because you fall within the category of your NAICS code, which would lead us to the importance of actually being registered as a vendor with a corporation. But it's definitely, as she said, that's how corporations will find you a lot of times and identify you as a potential vendor, is by that. So
that is certainly what we do.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so it's, you know, you can, it's easy to tell somebody you do 1, 2, and 3 things, but as you can see with ours, there are so many other capabilities that fall under just marketing, that the one pager is the opportunity to give you the headlines, to give you the, you know, the outstanding items that people may be looking for. And if somebody is more interested, then they'll come back to you and say, hey, tell me all about this. Tell me about your advantages, whatever. So.
And I know that you guys did pull this out from another piece. So, and that's the other thing too, is having, sometimes you have to plug and play. These documents are living and breathing, meaning it's not a static document. You've created it once, that's done, that's what everybody gets. You have to sometimes take these documents and tailor it to the organization that you're pitching to. So what they provide, eye candy would provide to us, may not necessarily be what they actually provide to, as an example, to a government agency. It may be something totally different. So understand this, just because you've created it, that doesn't mean you're done. It could change for every different customer that you're trying to engage. So understand that about the capability presentation statement as well. Thanks so much, Billy.
Yeah, sure. I was gonna say, that's a very important point. Our capability statement, we revisit it every 6 months and change something. So it's definitely, look at it as a living document, not something you're going to do once and then have for 5 years. So keep that in mind.
And then other important thing is your color scheme. Your brand, and you guys are in marketing, your brand is very important. So you want to make sure that when you're developing these things, you don't want something that is outside of your brand. You will see a theme with both of these companies, one more established and who has been in business for a longer time, and one who is a newer startup, understand it doesn't matter if you're one or the other. You need to understand that when you're going into this process, your brand is imperative, and staying in line with your brand is also very important. So, next slide. So we're going to take a look at EH's capability statement. And just I want to point out some things because we have our, again, our 7 components. And so she has a 2-pager and she's got her logo. The contact information is listed here. The About Us. She's got the NACCES code over here. And her certifications are listed. No customers here, but again, understand this, these are just suggested elements. They are not absolutely positively required. If you can fit all of these things and still make it look and feel functional, that's what you want to do. You don't want it to be look as if you've just packed a bunch of stuff on here. So you want to make sure that it is legible, readable, and enticing to read. So as much as you can include, but again, making it look ultimately professional. And so Xavier, I wanted to ask you about your process in which an approach that you took when you were developing your capability, especially as a startup, because again, startups don't often think, well, you know, I'm small, I don't need to have this. No, you do. And how did you approach the process?
Sure, Latonya. So in full transparency, I had not heard of a capability statement until I joined the LGBTQ. So I was like, what in the world is a capability statement? So obviously I used my 2 best friends, Google and YouTube. So I went to Google and YouTube and researched and looked at some examples and how to write a great capability statement. And in addition to that, you know, when the idea came up to start my company, I started formulating my strategies and problem statement and solutions and those things. So I kind of had a lot of these things already in progress, but they were like disjointed in different areas. So, you know, I was able to take that information and bring it into one consolidated document. And, you know, once I did that and I turned it in to you guys, I'm like, okay, this is great. I wish I'd known about it earlier. But it really helped me to really think through what I'm offering, what those core capabilities are, and to be able to take that information and just put it down on paper and document it. So that was really my approach, you know, as far as being a new startup. And yeah, that's it.
Absolutely. And you can see a theme with both Billy's and Xavier's capability. They both listed their key differentiators. You always want to lead in how you differentiate from other companies, because I stated earlier that when we're sourcing for companies, we're looking up NACCES codes. You're not the only one with that NACCES codes. So we're going to pull a bunch of companies. So when we reach out and engage you, one, you have to be able to clearly and concisely tell us what you do. And then once we do that, and once you do that, and we ask you, okay, hey, could you send me a capability statement, 1-pager, no more than 3, you send that information. I want your key differentiators there. Because if I'm going to try to sell you for that opportunity, I want the ability to say, hey, here are my differentiators. Here's how I differ from those who do exactly the same thing that I do. So that is a theme on both capability statements that I would say is a very good takeaway from looking at the capability statements here. Thank you, Xavier.
Sure, thank you.
Okay, next slide. So to wrap this up, here are some important insights with regard to the capability statement. You're going to update your statement to include new services. So as you heard from both Billy and Xavier, they've added new services to their business. So of course, if they've added new services, that's a great time to update your documentation, your statements, your presentations, and your website as well. So you want to make sure that we know, folks like me know, okay, there's another line of service that we are now targeting customers for. So you want to definitely update that. Review your statement to make sure it remains up to date. Again, this is a living, breathing document. It is not static. If you have a multi-page statement, make sure that it is able to condense down to a one-pager, but still convey the same meaning and information as it needs to include. And understand your audience. Again, that tweaking may require you to do something different for that potential customer. Your audience is very important as you're providing these capability statements to your customers. You wouldn't provide the same capability statement to a healthcare company as you might, say, a utility company. So you may need to change up some things and make sure that it's a fit for that type of customer. Next slide. So, next slide. So now let's take a look at the pitch deck and talk more about what should be included in the pitch deck. Next slide. So the pitch deck or capability statement deck or presentation, you may hear all of those terminologies. They're in essence the same thing. Basically, it's a deck that provides a full comprehensive overview of your products, your services, competencies, methodologies. Sometimes you may even include case study. It depends on if this is regarding an opportunity. The deck should be, again, looked at from the perspective of this is a business tool. When you are invited to do a capability presentation or have a pitch presentation for a company, it should be tailored to that company and that opportunity. You don't want to use something that you use for a totally different industry without tweaking the document to mirror what the needs are of the industry that you're going to present to. So that's an important thing to note. Next slide. So some of the things that should be contained in a pitch deck would be the introduction to your company, such as your vitals. Where you're located. What size are you? Number of employees, revenue generation. Are you national, local, international? What services you offer. Again, we talked about case studies, applicable projects to the opportunity. It's always good if you have the opportunity to get in front of stakeholders and present your capabilities. You want to make sure you include in that presentation deck applicable projects that you've worked on before that's germane to the opportunity that you have in front of them. Clients, other clients that you've worked with. I'm in healthcare. We love to see clients on a capability deck that are germane to healthcare. So hospital systems, senior citizens facilities, anything related to healthcare. And if not healthcare, we even like it when you include financial institutions, because that also tells us heavily regulated. You can deal with heavily regulated insurance if you can deal with heavily regulated financial institutions. In rates and pricings, again, that's dependent upon the opportunity. If you know that you're going for a specific opportunity where they're looking for specific rates and pricing information, you want to make sure that you include that in there. Standard-wise, I wouldn't say include it because you don't want to pigeonhole yourself, but if this is for a specific opportunity where they're looking at for that type of information, definitely include it. Next slide. So we're going to start out looking first and foremost from the more the company that has been in business for a longer period of time. And so we're going to start with iCandy and looking at their pitch deck. So next slide. So, of course, the pitch deck starts out with your information, with your logo, your that this is your capability deck, your company name. Um, they have a nice little slogan there, keep it sweet. Sometimes I've even seen folks include the logo of the company that they're presenting for. Be very careful about doing that, because some companies are very, very, you know, concerned about their intellectual property. And before you are out and go out and grabbing logos off of websites and off of Google, you want to make sure that it's okay for with that company that you include that. So I think that this is perfect to have as your face sheet, because it's not anything that can start off with an offense. So you definitely want to make sure that you pay attention to that. Okay, so next slide. So the eye candies capability presentation starts with the strategy. And I think the strategy is extremely important. But if you go to the next slide, I would say I would move the next slide to be the first slide. And here's why. When you're doing your capability presentation, it's like a song. You want it to start off very soft and it builds up to a crescendo to get you to where you really want to have them focused on who you are and what you do. So you want to start off with your vitals. That's the basics, name, social security, that kind of thing. So this is the same thing with that. I would start off with this because you're giving them the basic information about who you are. Here's where we are. We're located in Chicago, Illinois. We support international clients. So you're starting with the building blocks. So you started there. So I think I would switch to the side because the strategy, that's the meat. That's the meat and potatoes. That's what you really want them to talk about. So you want to build up to getting to that strategy piece. So what are your thoughts on that, Billy?
I think you're very right. This is, and probably something we'll do after I am done with this call. But no, you're very right. This, and probably I think as we've kind of grown this, and I'm speaking for us not as an excuse, but other people may find this and need, for obvious reasons, to be judicious about stepping away from it and coming back to it, because you may put in a slide somewhere. You may decide, I want to put this here. Oh, yeah, I didn't have to add this information, and I have one client who wants me to put this in here, so I'll put it in. And it may not be the best spot for it for the next client who's going to get this deck. And I think that's probably what has happened with this. If I went, there are so many pages to this, but there's stuff in here that has grown because a specific client or a specific pitch has said, hey, I need to see this in your deck for us to discuss moving forward with you, where the next client may not need that, but they want something else. So I think you're very right in that. And I think everything needs to be put together in a specific order for a specific reason and as general as possible, unless somebody specific requests something else. So, yeah.
And I think that's an important thing that you mentioned. Different clients want different things. Mm-hmm. And it's like you are literally trying to please all parties. Right. And so it's easy to say, yeah, maybe I'll put it here or maybe I'll put it there because, this wasn't part of something that you wanted to do anyway. One thing you'll see as a theme that I really like and would like to see more of in your capability is I like the fact that you're inclusive of these visuals. Mm-hmm. Because especially when you have a lot of text, mm-hmm. folks want to read it. Right. when you're presenting to it. I want to read. Oh, okay, okay. So, but you want them to pay attention to what you're saying when you're presenting in front of them. You want them to be listening to you and not reading, because if they're reading, chances are they're not listening to you. So having these visuals is something that takes the person away from reading, and so it'll make them want to look more at the visual and not focus on reading, because reading is two-part. It's reading the words and its comprehension, so you're processing. Generally, when you have pictures or photos or smart art, you're just looking, but you can still take in and listen when someone is speaking. So I think that that's having your photos throughout the presentation is great, because again, it takes the person or the persons that you're presenting to away from wanting, oh, there's words there. It's just a natural inclination of folks are going to want to read it. So I think that's a great inclusion, to especially to break up when you have a lot of text. Next slide. So this is this one thing that I want to really say about this slide that I like is the fact that you've bolded and made some of your text very large. Because of what I stated before, people tend to want to read. If you make large words that stand out, they may stop there and focus just on those words and not want to go into, oh, okay, I need to now read the rest. And I can read, they can read expertise, resources, and services, and maybe that may stop them from wanting to read the rest and wanting to listen to you talk about your expertise, talk about your resources, talk about your services. Any insight as to why you guys chose to bold and pull out certain words within the presentation?
I think that for just the reason that you said, this is a lot of information and it's a lot of text, and we know that 95 people that get this are not going to read every single word in there. So, we want to make sure that we're focusing on the stuff that is going to be important to the person who's reading it, who may not, there's someone maybe looking for our expertise, because we've been doing this between the three owners collectively for about 160 years. Not that quite that long, maybe 150, but there's expertise. Somebody else we need to know that we have extensive amount of resources over one of our competitors. So they may say, hey, can these guys do global resources? Bam. And then service. Everybody's important to service. So, these three words are kind of the linchpins of what is important to us and what we offer our clients. So just, in our mind, it was put those three words big, make sure they see that we understand that those are important to everybody and that we can expand on them either here or in person. So sorry I did that.
Thank you for that thought.
Sure.
Next slide. This was probably one of the most important slides for me, in that if you do not have in your capability statement a client list, include it. Because believe it or not, we look at this. Oh, they're doing business with, oh, and so-and-so? Oh, okay. This helps folks see themselves doing business with you. If they can see large companies or like companies, they tend to want to say, oh, okay, we've got some companies here that we see, that we know, and we know them very well. So we want to basically, look at them even further, because they're doing some business with some great companies here, great companies that we know. So you definitely want to, if you can at all possible, I would say include a client slide, and include it more towards the front as they have it here. You want to have this because, again, this is a crescendo. It should build up to the point where you're really wanting to focus on that conversation. Like they talk about their strategy, I would move that further on down the line, because that's where you want to spend in that crescendo. That's where you want to spend the most of the time, talking about your strategy. talking about your methodology, talking about how you do what you do, and you want to build up to that. Okay. And if you fast forward on, let's go to the last slide. As you can see, they've got more products listed here, um, um, which is great because it breaks up the text. Last slide. Back one. There you go. This one. So this is an important slide. You want to have your contact information because at the end of the day, you're going to be leaving this with the stakeholder that you were in front of, and you want to make sure that they have your contact information and that they are able to find out where they can reach you. So this is a very important slide. The only other thing that I might add, and this is a general slide that iCandy has put together, if you were actually presenting to like a Blue Cross or whatever, I would add a question slide and a thank you slide at the end. For your general standard capability statement that you're sending on, you don't necessarily need that. But if you're actually doing a pitch presentation to individuals, definitely add that as part of your slides. But other than that, great job for iCandy. And I want to, again, just touch bases with you, Billy, to talk a little bit about your processes at iCandy in developing and just how you, your thought ideation stage as to what you wanted to do when you incorporated this information.
You mean for the complete deck?
Yes.
Okay. No, first of all, this has been really awesome to go through this with a whole bunch of other people because all I'm doing is seeing the typos. So I just gave myself a whole list of projects to do in the morning, and that's to fix some things on the deck. Yeah, what we wanted to do is, you know, in our business, and I will speak for us and not for any other business because it's hard to say for every business, everybody's deck is going to look different. Ours has a lot of information because there are so many moving parts involved in what we do as a company. This deck has kind of, as mentioned earlier, it's a living product and has kind of grown over the course of time to include things that a lot of people hadn't seen or wanted to see or didn't see in other presentations. And it's an inordinately large amount of information, but it really is the most comprehensive document that shows what we are capable of doing and what we have done over the course of time. Somebody who gets this deck, somebody requests this deck, or we include it as part of a pitch, they will be able to, without having to listen to me drone on for an hour, they'll be able to have this look at their leisure, look through it when they want to, and at the end of it know exactly what we are capable of doing, where our successes have been, and where our strengths lie, in as much as how we could fit as a partner with them. You know, I waffle sometimes between it being too long, or just to use some information that's redundant, but then I will have a talk with one of my business partners and he'll say, no, it's important to have that in there because X, Y, and Z. So it's, you know, it's something that is always there. It does need to be tweaked every now and again, but I think even though it's lengthy, it was important for us to have as much information in there so somebody can have it. And if they decide they don't, you know, it's not the time to partner with us, they have this now, and they're going to remember, who was that company? I talked to them and I got their deck. It was the red and black. Okay, and they had a really fun name, Candy, iCandy. Yeah, okay, and they can do that. I remember seeing that on page 6 of their thing. So, and that has happened with this pitch deck before. So, yeah, that's why we do it like this.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned an important thing with regard to length. It's because it depends. Again, just like the capability statement can be 1 to 3 pages, your capability presentation can change in pages and length. If
Sure.
someone comes and tells you, hey, this is for an RFP and I want you to do a hour and you're going to be in here with us for an hour and a half. Well, this is
Right.
going to be a long capability statement because you
Right.
want to be able to fill up that hour and a half. We've
Sure.
had um, for some RFPs where we've had suppliers in for a half day.
Oh yeah.
So you don't want to have 5 slides.
Right.
So in that instance, it is going to be longer because it's more in depth because they're wanting to get down in the minutia. And in those instances, we'll usually tell you, here's the outline of the things that we want you to cover. I mean, it's up to you as far as how you present it, but it can be longer, it can be shorter, depending on the needs of what that capability presentation is for. So that's very important to note. We've also had whole day capability presentations as well. Believe it or not. All righty. Let's move on to E.H. Hudson's capability pitch deck. So again, we have her brand. It's listed here. It's got her information on it, logo, and you know what it is. I even love the fact that you have a hashtag. So that's great because if you put a lot of things to that hashtag, inevitably you're going to have somebody that's going to want to go out there and look and see, well, let me see what else is in that hashtag. So if you're posting a lot of stuff to that hashtag, this is definitely going to be kind of like a call to action. Is that what your intent was, Xavier, as you were looking to add the hashtag?
Absolutely. You got it right, Latonya. That's right.
Wonderful, wonderful. So next page. Next. Okay, so we have this starting out with the About Us. Very simple, basic bulleted point. Again, this is something that Xavier can waft through very quickly, just to let folks know, here's who I am, here's what I do, where I was founded, the services I offer, the certifications I have, quick, all in one page. And once she's done that, it's done. So now she can move on to the next aspect of the communication that she wants to get to. The more you can consolidate these are what I call your vitals in one place, the quicker you can get through that so that you can get to the real part of the conversation that you really want to have. These are just your overarching things that you have on there. These are not the things that you want to focus on. You don't want to focus on that you have a certification. That is just your gravy. You want to focus on the meat and the mashed potatoes, not the gravy. So that's an addition to. So consolidating it as much as possible is always better to get to the nitty gritty. Next slide. So, Xavier, you then go into your leadership team. Now, she's a staff of one for now. So it does not hurt that she is having her page that specifically talks about her leadership team. As that grows, it will not hurt to for her to add additional ones. And you saw that with the eye candy slide as well. They had their leadership team listed there on the slide with photos. It's personal, it's personable. So it's both, and it connects people to you. It lets people understand who you are, how you got started, and what your values are with regard to your organization, and what your experience and expertise is as well. I don't know. Is it me? Are you all seeing double text? No worries if you do. It's not on the original slide. I think it's kind of overlapping due to the presentation, but. Next slide. So as I was looking through the presentation, I think that this is great that you've included a case study. One thing that I would say, because if you can advance forward a couple of slides past the case study to the products and services. One more. I would move this in front of that. Here's why: because you've gotten to the part that you want to talk about, which is your case study, before you talked about your products and services. You want to tell them, hey, here are all my products and services as part of my company, as part of my offering. So you want to talk about that before you get into, oh, and here's how I do, here's a case study of what I've done. Well, you want to give them a clear understanding and a clear evaluation of my products and service consist of this, this, that, and that. And then you can go into the case study, because again, the case study is what you want to have more conversation about. The case study is what you really want to pull in the stakeholder on. You want them to get invested in that part. So any thought processes to your how you determined that you wanted to include this here or that there?
No, not really. I thought that maybe just the opposite of what you said, that listing, you know, what problem am I trying to solve as an organization, and then follow up with, okay, here's how I can help you improve or improve your bottom line and solve those problems. I thought that maybe it would, bringing that afterwards would be better, but I agree with what you said, and I will move it up towards the front. I definitely agree with you. That makes more sense to me.
Yeah, it's just building. You're building that crescendo, because that case study is important, and here's why. If you got to the point where you have a capability presentation, that means someone is telling you, oh, I got a problem that I need solving. And because every time you meet with someone, you're going to find out what their problem is, and you're going to include a problem that you've solved specifically germane to that stakeholder that you're about to meet with.
Mm-hmm.
And because that is going to be germane to them, you really want to utilize that as an opportunity to say, hey, I understand your problem, because here's a time and here's an instance when I had this very problem that I came in and I applied XYZ methodology to that problem, and this is how I solved it. So if I can have you go back one slide, Jeremy, because I want to talk about that solution. So I think that I like the fact that you took your 2 slides for your case study, you broke it down and said, here's the problem, which was the previous slide, and you said, now here's the solution. What I would do in this instance as well is I would probably add some smart art to these 5 bullets, because what you would do is then show process. And since you're a process project management firm, that would then give them a visual to say, oh, she's got a 5-step process here. So
Gotcha.
you have provided continuous coaching for your candidates. So you might say coaching as one rung of your process wheel, and then your hiring procedures, and then your project manager, you went in and you added your, so just, you want to always keep them in the mind of, this is about project management. And here is how I do it. And when we see little visuals that are like the smart art visuals that show process and procedure, it's like, oh, okay, there's another instance where she's applying process. So it's just almost a trick of the mind.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And if I can have you fast forward to the competition. Yes. So I think this is great that you have a competition slide. So where I'm assuming that you're following up, you're going to be in that upper right-hand quadrant.
That's correct.
I want to see your logo there.
Okay.
So, and there and big, because you want to draw people over to where that quadrant is, and you want to see yourself sitting there in that quadrant. You're more convenient and less expensive. So you definitely want to do this. But I like the fact that you put a competition slide. Any rationale or reason why you decided to add a competition slide? Because you don't often see that in capability statements, but I think it's a great add.
Yeah, I think because, when I'm a new company, and I wanted to try to I really have to show what makes me head and shoulders above my competition. And this is just one of those quick, just pointed slides that I could throw together to kind of show, at least from a complexity perspective, as well as a cost perspective, how I add up to those people who have been around for years and years.
Got you. And then you have some companies on here that people, okay, I recognize that company. And yeah, I've dealt with that company, and you're right, they are on the expensive side. And if she can give me the kind of things that this company does, but then I can have it for less expensive, but keep the quality there, that's an important factor of what you want to discuss. So that's also very important, and that's why that this slide really resonated with me, because you did include that, and that's why I want to see your logo there and really large in that upper quadrant.
Okay.
And the last slide. So you got your thank you there. You got your contact information. Again, this is a takeaway. Once you've left and you're now out of sight, when someone like myself or someone from our team or procurement or the billing business owners, they would be able to go back and say, well, what is her contact? Oh, she included that information in her slide. The same thing with iCandy. This information is included in the slides, and they know that they can go and they can find this information and get in contact with you should they want to learn more or ask questions, or in essence, set up a contract with you. So any insight or thought processes that you would like to leave everyone with as a startup company who has a full capability presentation?
The only thing I can think of is one, just I'm thankful for the opportunity, because this forced me to do this. I don't think if it were for this, I don't think I would have done this. So, and you've been able to use this since I poured it together like 3 times now. So, I think just putting your feet to the ground and just doing it and try to be as concise and direct and succinct as possible. I think that ended up being very helpful for me to get that information out of my head onto paper. And as I mentioned, just being succinct and concise with all the ideas and things that are twirling in my head, so it was really great to be able to pull this together.
All righty. I'm glad to see that this actually a presentation that you're preparing for has helped you in as you've been engaging in business. Again, you're going to find more and more as you really connect with corporations, they're going to ask for these tools. And Billy, you can probably attest to the number of times someone has asked you for your capability statement or your capability, or wanted you to come in and do a capability presentation.
Yeah, numerous. And much like Xavier, we put this together originally because we didn't have one, and somebody said, hey, give me your capability statement. Okay. Damn.
Like, what?
So yeah. So let's do some research. Let's get to work. And actually, I believe and to you, Latonya, that I reached out, this is years ago, I reached out and said, hey, I got to do this. Can you give me some pointers from a corporate standpoint? And you said, sure, So snaps to Latonya for being so supportive of small businesses.
Yeah.
But yeah, I put it together because we had to, but it's been modified to suit a particular client and probably used 30 or 40 times in over the course of a couple of years. So it's incredibly important to have.
Because I think we asked you for one because we did some business with you and we were like, okay, yeah, well, where's your stuff? So yeah, thank you guys. That was great. Let's go into our last and final section so we can wrap this up. So let's talk about the website. What every website needs. Website needs to have a simple web address. Simple web address, ease of navigation, description of who you are, easy to find contact information. If you can, doesn't have to include this, but if you can, a customer testimonial or two, a call to action, quality content. One thing that I neglected to include on this, links that properly work. That's very important as well. We want to make sure that it's you know, your websites are functional. So let's take a quick look at the next slide. And Jeremy, if you just click on the picture in the little, yeah, there you go. So as we can see, hold on one second.
Yeah, it loads a little faster in real time.
Okay. So as you can see, they have a very simple URL that people can find and get to. This information is very easily accessible because of that. In addition, they have ease of navigation. As Jeremy scrolls down on the bar on the right, they have both vertical navigation as well as the drop-down links that are listed there. And the description of who you are is listed there because you have the about us that's listed there. I know I saw it somewhere. And you have the easy to find contact information, customer, hold on. The contact information is there. You have quality content. I love the fact that you have this here in the center, the strategy and creativity, because you can click on that and that takes you, those links take you to places. And so your links were properly working. So I looked at that as well. So any insight, you've got a great website.
Thank
you.
You.
Your website is amazing and it's very functional.
Thank you.
I'm just scrolling.
Okay, so yeah, so you see the listing of all of their the things that they have for their promotional products, so folks can go around and browse it, look at it, and so this is a great website. So any insight that you have about how you looked at going about the design and development of it?
Okay. I had to make sure you could hear me. It just really was just kind of in tandem with the thought process for our capability statement, in that there's so much that we do. And we often tell people when they're new to us, they're like, hey, I want to go to your website. Can I look at widgets there? I'm like, yeah, you're going to see 27,000 widgets. Don't let us find them for you. Don't get lost in this, because this website, it is a cool, I mean, thank you very much. We love it. It's been a lot of work, and it is constantly evolving, and we are constantly tweaking it. But it was important to us that any action that anybody wanted to take, they could do it by 1 or 2 clicks. And that's an important thing in any website, because the average amount of time people spend on one page is seconds on any website. If they're not seeing what they're looking for, they may get one more click. After that, they've lost interest because they're going to find somebody else who can get it to them quicker. So, there's a lot of information on the front of our page, but that's because wherever you want to engage us, it needs to be right in front of you at the same time. And the color, we're very visual people, I was talking about in a chat. So we wanted to make sure there was a lot of color in there and fun things to look at, but that at the same time showcased our abilities. And I think even if you've got a one-page website, getting as much information on that first look to anybody is the most important thing that you can do. So, from my perspective.
And that's wonderful. And I'm assuming that anyone can go and purchase from the iCandy website.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay.
It's a public catalog. So
there you
I generally
go.
tell people to contact us because we'll help you navigate it. But you can do that. A lot of people just go on and order stuff.
I think there's a lot of ease of navigation in your website.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. So great website. Thank you so much. So if you go back to the presentation, and Jeremy, and if you can click on next slide and click on the photo in the laptop. Alrighty. Okay. So here's the E.H. Hudson Consulting website. Again, it's a great website. So let this be known that even as a startup, you can have a great website. Don't think, it's not like it was before where it cost you an arm and a leg. I mean, there are even things out there that you can do yourself. Again, she has the vertical scroll. So when you use the toolbar, it will drag you down the page. She also has the drop down menu at the top. She has the About Us section. The links work because I checked all the links. I did that in the process. And so she also has her portals and all of that for people to go in online and click and register. So again, this was a great website, and it's not a great website for a startup. It's a great website. It's clean, it's concise, and it fits within her brand. And again, you'll see with both of their stories, it fits their brand. So any insight that you have, Xavier, about your website and how you wanted to approach it?
Yeah, I just basically, when I thought about developing my website, I wanted something that was easy to read. I wanted something that was user-friendly. And again, I believe, because I'm a project manager, I believe in things being succinct and direct and to the point. So I tried to fit all of that within the website with enough pictures to draw folks in, but having the right level of information. So when I thought of designing it, those were some of the key elements that I kept in mind.
Very good. So I think, again, both sites are really, really great sites, and they are very both clean and concise and connects you to what the call to action that you're looking for. So with that said, going back to the presentation, I would open it up for questions, but I think because of time, we want to definitely provide any questions through to Jeremy. And if you get them to me, I will definitely answer those questions applicably. But I just want to say thank you so much to both Billy Stevenson and Xavier Billingsley from Billy from iCandy and Xavier from E.H. Hudson. Thank you so much for putting yourselves out there and in front to have your You know, this is your business to have the tools that you use for your business critiqued, as well as just for the fact that you are thoughtful enough to let people understand both the mistakes as well as the successes that you've had because you've had the right tools in place and in play. So I appreciate you both. Thank you, everybody. Give them a round of applause for going through this process, because I'm sure it can be dueling to do that. And with that said, at the last slide, I want to thank everyone for giving me the opportunity yet again to present to you, and just giving you the opportunity of my insight and the things that I've had the opportunity to work with diverse suppliers and helping you to build the tools that you need for your business in order to grow your business. So I thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
All
Thank you.
righty.
Thank you so much, Latonya, Xavier, and Billy. Billy, good to see your face virtually. Hopefully everyone took away some great resources from this conversation. Just as expected, this has been one of our highest attended sessions for the day. So just always thank you so much for continuing to share this good information with the people, giving them awesome and more dynamic to work with companies like yours. For everyone else, we are going to take about a 3 to 4 minute break. Then we will begin our group networking session. If you did have questions from this session, I encourage you to bring them over with us at our group networking session, and we'll talk a little bit more about it there. So take a break, and I'll see you in the next room. Everyone.